Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We're just a few seconds late because we're chit-chatting away in the green room, so to speak. And
Yes.
we have today Lady Kepra Unk, Jamie, Tarot Stash, of course, Debbie, Aquarius Owl, Deanne, and Kristen Louise so far. This was kind of a last minute thing. I've been talking to Gerald for uh, several weeks about an idea we had. We had about doing something. It has to do with how we read cards, and cards don't always have a positive spin. Sometimes they have a negative spin, and then some cards that look like they have a negative spin could have a positive spin. So we thought we might do something called good card, bad card, kind of based on the old good cop, bad cop routine.
Uh-huh.
And we're doing it live, and this could be a disaster. We'll see what happens. I procrastinated so long because I thought, well, maybe we should pre record this and then see how it goes. Because I've been pulling cards at home, and some of them have like sort of stumped me in
Mm-hmm.
terms of different readings on cards.
Right.
So, particularly the court cards. So, what I did actually was just for starters, I pulled 10 cards from the RWS, and the ones that I had trouble with, I set aside. So, these 10, I think I'm okay with for now, and we'll just see what happens.
Do we start
And
with those 10? Get those 10 out of this?
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's just a random 10. I'll tell you what they are as they come up, and if you want to find them in your deck, to hold
yeah,
up or what you can.
I have the original Rider Waite. This is one that I bought at a half price bookstore, which is a chain here in the United States.
Hmm.
Um, but I bought it because the reason I bought it is I wanted the box that came with it.
Oh,
This is and I actually know the guy who made this box. Can I tell you the funny story about this box?
yeah, but I'm confused as to which deck that is. That's not the one that comes in the purplish roses and lilies box usually that Chris has, is it?
I
Because
don't know because it didn't come with a box, and
mm,
I posted it on the Hermit's Cave, and somebody said it was the original Rider Waite Tarot.
okay. Because
So
I think that might also be the name of the one that's the Dirty Pam, or maybe I'm wrong. There's so many and so many names. I always get them confused.
yeah, I was actually looking at the page or the fool, hoping that it was like, a blushing fool, quite by accident, but it's not.
No, it
So
looks a little dark. The colors look rich and dark, kind of.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it also, oh, actually, it looks like no. I can tell from the legs it's not the Dirty Pam
okay,
because Dirty Pam has kind of fat legs and they're more shaded and they seem more of a green than a mustardy yellow.
uh huh, okay, hmm.
But it looks nice though.
Yeah, and I don't think it's been used. It just didn't come with the little white book. It um did come with the bio of Pamela Coleman
Hmm.
Smith, and it does have the copyright on it. So,
Okay. Yeah.
but yeah. So, but I bought this. I know my friend Trixie's father is a woodworker, and he makes boxes. And I have a
Hmm.
thing for boxes, wooden boxes. He makes wands, and he makes wand boxes to
Hmm.
fit them in. And so Paul was telling me that a friend of his was collecting tarot cards, and he commissioned Paul to make him a box, a wooden box. And Paul is the type of woodworker, if he's going to make one, he's going to make two because it's just as easy. And this is the box that he made for this guy. And after the guy died, his wife took some of his tarot decks and sold them to a half price books. And this deck was in there. The thing is I actually have the sister deck, or the sister box to this, for my personal working deck. So quite by chance, 5, 6, maybe 7 years later, I got the sister box to it. So it's brilliant. It's like woohoo. So
it looks bigger. Is it bigger than the deck, or is does it fit just right?
it's bigger than the deck.
Oh, so you can put a little cloth and crystal in there, or something if you want.
That's exactly what I do, and it fits. It works well with a bag. You can put the deck in a bag, and I like to have like a pendulum in there, maybe some selenite. So, but yeah, so that's my cool story. I got this deck simply because I wanted this, and they were, I mean, this is a handmade box. Beautiful inlay and all of that stuff. And so I bought this deck for the box, and it's like, that looks like my box. So it's cool.
It's really nice. I didn't catch, is it a lift-off top or a hinge top?
It's a lift-off box.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And
all right, look, it's kind of snug too. It's not won't slip off, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And if you look, you put it on correctly, the grain matches all the way around. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's handsome.
So you did, and it has on the inside, it has blue felt at the top and on the bottom. So
that's great.
Lovely.
And you said this is made by a friend of yours?
Yeah, a friend of mine's dad. Paul Kearns is the man's name. So yeah, so that's my excitement with.
Was this a special one-time thing, or does he make these in general to sell?
He makes them in general to sell. Starbrick Gallery in Starbrick Gallery in, I can't remember, in Nelsonville, Ohio, has some of his stuff, but I have multiples of his boxes and his wand boxes, and he actually makes cabinets. He calls them like magician's cabinets, where there's small drawers, lots of small drawers, and they're really incredible. I'll have to show some pictures of those sometimes, but they're phenomenal.
If he has a store or website or anything like that, I don't know whether he does mail order, or if we can get that information, maybe I can post it later, and for people that watch this that might want to buy from him.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see what I can find out.
Yeah. Kristen says, I should have done stackable boxes from my decks. They're lovely bags, but having them in bags makes them look messy on the shelf. Yeah. Also, I don't know how people do it that have, I mean, I sort of like bags. Lisa Papez, she's got them all hanging from her wall, but I don't know how you could remember up to a certain point. I can remember what's in what bag, and then beyond that, I can't tell. And I was panicking the other day because I kind of run out of real estate for collecting. All my shelves are full. And I thought, I really need to check with Chris Yao to see if I can sell some of my decks on the Barely Balanced page, which I think he'll probably say okay, but I want to check with him first.
Sure.
Because I don't want to sell outside of the U.S. just because of customs and all that stuff. But I need to get rid of some of my stuff to make space for new things. And I shifted some things on my shelves. I realize even though my shelves are full, they're kind of deep. So one of my bookshelves, I pushed the books and CDs to the back of the shelf.
Oh,
It's stuff that I don't really use much. And so that left me the front half layer that I can put tarot decks on, which isn't ideal. I mean, it's ideal for me to access and store tarot decks, but if I want anything from the back, I'm going to have to remember it's buried behind the
yeah.
decks.
You'll have to have like a key or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I got all of my notes out. So because
well, don't get too. I'm glad you're prepared, but don't get too stressed out or worried. Let's keep it real low key. In fact, that was my thing. I thought, oh, one of us is going to be good card, the other's going to be bad card, and I had it all organized in my head, and I thought, no, this is stressing me out too much. What if I can't figure it out as we go along? And I thought, let's just, do this warts and all live, whatever happens, and relax and have a good time. I also, if we have time, I want to discuss things I'm thinking about for designing a new deck. I have an idea and I want to put feelers out there to people about it. So it's over the concept of how many cards you actually need in the deck. So we'll get into that.
Okay.
But let's start with. Oh, and I decided to use my Blushing Fool because I don't use it that often. And I thought if this works and we continue throughout the deck, then I can keep the ones we've already used set aside. I won't shuffle them in and I can keep track of them that way.
Sure.
That's what I'm doing with Jen's play date. I have the study deck that I only use for that. And so I know, we have, I think, about 14 or less cards left to go in that.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, so the first one I have is the Three of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you have any general thoughts about the Three of Cups when you get that in a reading.
When I get the Three of Cups in a reading, I think of it as the happy hour card.
Mm-hmm.
It's the go out and celebrate. And it is about people who it's the shared minds and it's the like ideas.
My goodness, look at the difference in the coloration of these two cards.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
So, but I think the bad part of this.
Let me jump into in there. You can come back with that. I was going to say my reaction to it is you party too much. Or as a caution, if you're going out celebrating with friends, don't overdo it.
Right. Yeah. 3 drink minimum.
Yeah. Or 3 drink maximum.
3 drink minimum. Sorry. You can tell I haven't been out to a bar in a while. So
I was going to say that the other day. I think I got this. I can't remember the other day. And when I saw three drinks, I thought, yeah, that's pretty much my limit. When I go to the 4th drink, I tend to throw up. So this is a good reminder for me.
or you do things that you will regret.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. That's the thing about this is while the threes are an emphasis, a joining or synthesis of different concepts.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend too much time synthesizing and not enough time doing it. So if you're out partying too much, it's not helpful.
And Kristen asked, which is closer to the original? She assumes the blue. I was looking this morning actually at the Blushing Fool, the Dirty Pam, the Radiant Wise Spirit that is based on the Dirty Pam, and the little mini Radiant Wise Spirit, which is based on the Dirty Pam too. And also the RWS 2.0. Now they're all the same, but they all have slightly different details. And I think as a generic, we get used to what the imagery is in the cards. But the color and the fine details change slightly from deck to deck. I was looking, one of them, the Fool looked fatter, chubbier than the others. One of them, there were more details in the mountains and the cliff at the bottom.
Right.
There's, some of them, the line work looks fatter and sloppier, and some it's really fine line detail.
Yeah.
And I think it just matters, what your preference is for what you're working with, because I must have a dozen or more different versions. And I had decided that at the moment, I like the Dirty Pam the best. But in terms of line work, it can't hold a candle to the Blushing Fool, or actually the RWS 2.0 is the best line work I have ever seen anywhere. There's details in that deck I've never seen in any other deck.
Wow.
But I like the atmospheric quality in the Dirty Pam, so I use it a lot. Hey, Zane.
Hey, Zane. Yeah. And I think people have done great walkthroughs, and Moon Baby, is really knowledgeable about the slight differences, and you're incredibly knowledgeable, as is Simon and quite a few others. So,
well, I don't really know which deck is which. I mean, I'm not like Melissa Zupan, who can tell you every detail. But I know what I like and what I don't like. So it's like, if for me, it's mostly about the line work. A lot of people have issues, and I also don't like copyrights on the thing. A lot of people have issues if it's not Pixie's font. That's not a deal breaker for me personally. I mean, it's a label. It's not her artwork. I don't take that much stock in whether she hand wrote the label on it or not.
Right.
But and one of the main reasons I like the Dirty Pam, besides the moody coloring of it, is it has the best card feel. That's one thing you can't really communicate in videos or walkthroughs, is what a card feels like. Because I have somewhere the matte cards stick and clump together, which I don't like, or some of them they've been punched out of a sheet with some mechanical press, and the edges almost have a sharp ridge on them. And I don't like that either. Some of them are like too glossy and sticky, or too. I like them to be slippery. I don't really mind so much if they're real glossy.
Yeah.
Kristen says it's like wine. My husband is like, this is a Bordeaux from the north side of the river, very fruit forward and an undertone of tobacco. Me, I like this one.
Yeah, and there's room for all of that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I was gonna say. Is I picked the RWS to work with just because it has a generic symbolic vocabulary, and there are all these clones, but everybody's so familiar with these images that even though the deck you're showing is darker than the one I'm showing, the imagery is the same. The language, the vocabulary is the same. So it's kind of like, what do I call it? The Rosetta Stone of tarot.
That's true. Yeah.
Because all these others that are offshoots or spin-offs based on it, they are based on it, so anyway, card number two.
Did we do so everybody, we're trying to do here are the positive aspects, here are some of the more negative aspects, right?
Yeah, we could also toss it out to the chatters if they want to throw in some other alternate versions or takes on this card. I don't want to turn it into Jen's play date where we have dozens of different readings, but if anybody has a wildly different take on the Three of Cups that you want to toss in the chat,
Yeah.
feel free to do that. I thought we'd move to the next card.
Next card.
So the next one I pulled is the Eight of Wands.
Okay.
And usually I read that as you're having a lot thrown at you. But I don't know why I always read it from the victim point of view, like having to deal with a lot thrown at me,
Right.
as opposed to me being the one throwing a lot of stuff,
Right.
And I don't know why I kind of treat it as a sort of a victimization card of, these wands being directed at or by somebody. It may not be that at all. Do you have a different read on the Eight of Wands when you look at it?
Yeah, I think it's going really fast. It's the excitement of the experience. Um and it's the rush that we experience when we're doing something thrilling, maybe for the first time. Um I never saw it as those wands were coming down. I always thought the wands were going up, but
Mm,
I think in a recent conversation with either you or Chris or someone, I never realized that, oh yeah, they could be coming down. So I see it very much as it's really fast. And
mhm.
it's that rush, especially that creative rush that happens. It's that feeling of falling in love when your eyes, dilate, just trying to take it all in. So
I think maybe it was you in a chat or something. It might have been in Jen's play date where somebody discussed the wands going up, and I'd never seen it that way. So that
mhm.
was interesting to me because I wonder if I read them as coming down because I generally read cards in spreads and in the cards themselves as left to right. What our language, we read
Uh-huh.
from left to right. And visually, there's no reason that we do that. But maybe when I read text that way, that translates over to the imagery as well.
Right.
And so if I'm reading from left to right, they're coming down. Also, you can't see the left hand edge of the card. So you
Mhm.
can't see if they're still being held by somebody or thrown. You can't see off screen
Sure.
what's happening.
Yeah.
But, they could be thrown, like you said, from the right up,
Mhm.
and they've just been released and we don't see the hands, throwing
Yeah.
them
And it
or
also could be because when I look at the Robin Wood, and I think they are going from left to right. Let me pull that out if I may, just out of curiosity. Oh no, they're going up in the same direction, but they have got it. It looks like there's bolts of energy flowing, so they're going up. The
uh-huh.
so they're going. They're like rockets. So
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can see that real well, but that looks to me like they're going up rather than coming down.
yeah,
Maybe because can you see that the tips of the tops or not? I can't.
you
It
can
looks
see it
like it's
on
in
one.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, on one of them.
maybe that's why. I
Yeah.
think when I don't see the ends of them, I think there's more to come from that
Mhm.
direction. Maybe that's why I read it that way. I don't know.
Sure, that makes sense.
Um, oh, Kristen had a negative reading of the Three of Cups. She said, merging your desires or personality to your friend's desires and personalities. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she says about this one, wait a minute. In Hebrew, it's being thrown up. In English, being thrown down. Yeah, in
Oh,
Hebrew, you read from right to left.
that's
English, you
true.
read from left to right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jackie's here.
Oh, hey, Jackie. Okay, the next one is the sun.
Here comes the sun. Okay, let me get my sun. Naked baby alert.
Yeah. Boy, look at the difference.
Yeah.
Not just the color, but like the thickness and the line work on yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bold.
Yeah. I think with oh, one of my dogs decided to show up. So um I think with the sun, I always look at this it it sorry, the sun it suggests to me enlightenment,
Hmm.
but also, about growing wiser and moving because we're almost done with that cycle. We're almost to the final card, um, and you know, I think the sun um, shines a light on the other cards around it. So sometimes where it sits in a reading certainly um, can influence it. It's like some things that we want to stay hidden, they're not. So because you see things in the full light of the sun. So
I just noticed two things in this card I never noticed before. One of them is the expression on the horse's face looks a little bit like he's embarrassed.
yeah,
And the other is I never noticed the baby has a red feather in its hair, which I think isn't that what's on the fool? Doesn't the fool have a red feather in his cap?
oh, of course, yes, yeah.
Which is so I never equated the baby with the fool, but that I mean until now.
Hmm.
But I mean, this card always seems to me sort of like a celebration, but also potentially foolhardy behavior.
Yeah.
Like who rides a horse without a saddle and naked, with a feather in their hair to boot,
Apparently, a baby does. I think
and
it's
a wreath of flowers in their hair. Only Taro Sachet would do that.
of course, yeah. I think there's an aspect that isn't positive about this is it could reflect burnout too, because
Oh,
you've been shining so brightly for so long. It could, depending upon where it is in the reading, suggest some burnout.
yeah, or don't forget your sunscreen.
Yeah, I mean, they can be very practical because, if you think about that, I mean, you're joking, but, there are lots of things that we can do to protect ourselves and prepare when we pay attention. It's like if you're going to the beach, remember water and sunscreen.
Yeah, Justin just popped in and goes, "Why are you on so early?" Justin, because we can, because we want to.
Sorry to get you out of bed, Justin.
Hi, Regina. uh,
Wow. Does anybody have any other versions of the?
Jamie says, "Me no like naked baby card." And Deanne said she had a call, but she's back now. She'd add, she tends to read them more positive or negative depending on what's around them. Three of Cups, Devil could be addiction, eight wands, yeah, too
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons and how I started to learn, and so it's embedded in my mind. Some people read reversals. Great. I don't read
Yeah.
reversals because I figure if I'm supposed to learn to find out something that's not bright and shiny and happy, there's a card for it.
Hmm.
It'll show up.
Well, and I find, like she says, there's sort of a context to everything. So if you do a reading with somebody, or there's a question in particular, or a relationship between the cards, I think your psychic abilities or whatever tends to make your mind or your vision zoom in on certain elements of the card in relation to other cards. Because I can look at a card 10 different times and see 10 different things. Like I said,
Yeah.
those two things in the feather and the expression on the horse, I never noticed till today. And
Yeah.
I've looked at that card dozens of times,
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, and that comes from experience from reading and seeing where it falls in the card. And yeah, there's lots of happy cards, but there are cards that challenge us and to bring, slap us with reality. It's like I'm thinking Chris at Elemental Cardomancy. When I did I did a spread to look at repeat cards and understanding them, and it was the Seven of Pentacles because it kept showing up. And Seven of Pentacles is sort of wait for it and get your timing right. But he goes, yeah, but don't wait too long because you're going to miss the opportunity. And I'm like, I have not thought of it that
Mm,
way.
mm.
So that's a challenge to really look at what are some of the less positive aspects.
I'm gonna take. You're not wearing headphones. I'm gonna take mine off and see. Does it echo more or anything with that not plugged in? Or it makes no difference?
Nope, I can hear you.
Okay, no feedback or anything. Okay.
Justin, why am I like the village bicycle?
Oh, I know what he's talking about. Because he said the same thing of Chris. It means that you've been on a lot of videos and a lot of channels lately. So, like
Uh-huh.
everybody in town is riding you, kind of like the village bicycle.
Wow.
I don't
Wow.
think he means it in a bad way, but you're the flavor of the week. I think is
I hope I'm not just the flavor of the week. Oh my gosh. Oh, I
I
love
did. Well,
this.
I didn't invite you here for that. That's for sure.
I love it.
Listen, listen. The next card is the Five of Wands.
Okay. I'm
Oh,
getting
Justin goes, thanks, Robin. It's like I just outed him.
Yeah, by the way, Justin's going to be on my channel coming up. So just wait.
Jackie says, you get around, LOL, Gerald, Tarot Channel Tart.
That would be Miss Sachet, she's tarot
Oh
channel.
my God. Oh,
Woo!
you made her a new headdress. That's fantastic.
Tarot Sachet. She's that, the tarot tart.
That's
So
great. So what do you think of this one?
I think, okay, I'll put a positive spin on this one.
All
Is
right.
I think about this is it is an exchange of energy. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just an exchange of energy, and managed well, you can take that energy and build it. But
Mhm.
if it gets out of control, then it causes a problem. So, who
Yeah.
knows? Are they out there practicing, or are they actually battling? It's we don't quite know.
Yeah. And I often refer to the tarot as a book of cautions. I mean,
Mhm.
it's sort of, some people call it a guidance system, which it often is for me, but it's often well, these are the possibilities. Here's the fork in the road. Be careful not to go this direction, or
Yeah.
look out. This might be out there for you. It's not all, you know, cherries and roses and chocolate. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I have always looked at this card as like conflict or argument or disagreement or battling, but it could be having a plan and trying to make something, trying to build something, trying to work with other people, even though maybe you're not as organized as you might want to be, or the outcome might not go as well as you hope for if you don't have a plan, you know.
Right.
Kind of depends on your planning and how well you work with others, you know.
Uh-huh. And I think also, I think this is the card, it's about burning bridges. And you have to be careful because in a flash of anger, you could burn something that you didn't necessarily want to, and
Mm.
then you suffer the consequences for it later.
Yeah.
So
Justin just called you a channel floozy.
okay, there you go. Oh, I like that.
Five of Wands. Regina says, weird fact, when I was a baby tarot reader, this card always showed up in readings when people had multiple love interests vying for attention. That's interesting.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, a lot of people look at wands as phallic symbols. So, I mean, this could be an orgy. That doesn't look very amorous, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And I think, with the fives, it's about purification. It's about karma. And I also think that here's something that's interesting is are other people doing this to you, or are you doing it to yourself? Are you battling yourself, putting your own fire out, or are other people doing it to you?
I'm also kind of seeing it potentially as a power struggle or a grab for power.
Yeah.
You've got that one guy over here on the edge who it
Mhm.
looks like he's sort of the last one to arrive on the scene,
Right.
holding up the pole as if to say, hey guys, I just got here. Or maybe, hey guys, I've got a plan. Pay attention to me. I'm taking charge now, you know?
Right. Right. I want to show this in the Robin Wood. In the Robin Wood, it looks more like a dance, and
Mm,
it's a slight pentagram
yeah.
the way they're doing it. So it's like studying martial arts. It's I've never studied martial arts, but you want to train like you need to, really do damage to somebody, but the whole idea is that you don't need to use what you've learned. So this could be an apprenticing and learning something.
There is
So
a dance like that in, I don't know if it was in The Wicker Man or if it's somewhere else I saw it. I think it's like a formal Irish or Scottish dance that they do with swords,
hmm.
and they make a pentagram and someone is in the center. So
Oh,
there's like the potential to behead them, you know, with these swords. But it definitely it makes a pentagram with the swords. It's fascinating. I don't know the backstory on it, but
Kristen Louise said that this is the West Side Story version of the Five of
yeah.
Wands. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, okay. Next one is the devil.
Oh, okay. Let me get mine out.
We need puppet. We have to have puppet theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Separated at birth? La 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 la. Okay, the devil. What do you think about the devil?
Uh, well, I was going to take a sarcastically dark view of it
Go
in
for
terms
it.
of saying maybe you should, maybe you've been too much a goody goody. Maybe you should misbehave a little bit, get into a little mischief, or a little bit of trouble. You
Hmm.
know, that's not the way someone would ordinarily read this card, I don't think.
Yeah. I think about the devil, and the devil represents chaos, and it's out of chaos that creativity and faith are born. So this is a huge opportunity for people to, um, if you have to get out of a bad situation, you really have to be creative about it. So, um, and it's a definitely, it has challenging connotations. It can be about victimization, addictions, literally being chained down, because we have the chains. So I think, it could be a codependent relationship if it shows up like that. Um, but I, I think it's about addictions, and we need to see what we're not willing to see. So
I always read this, the key word for this as temptation.
yeah.
This always, the common denominator this card always reduces itself to in my mind is temptation.
Hmm.
And so it's not, I mean, I hear addiction from a lot of people and evil, but addiction is a temptation of sorts.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and it's the wild force of nature too. If this is, if you relate it to like Pan and that really, primal urges, and I'll say it, it could also be a little bit of S&M if that's your gig, which could be not a bad thing. So
yeah, let me jump back a little bit in the comments.
sure.
Uh, Deanne, positive for the devil, perseverance to see something through to the end. Uh, Jackie on the Five of Wands, like when young animals play fight with their siblings to gain experience.
Yep.
Kristen, keep your feet in first position. Sally, put your hand on the bar, please. So I never viewed the Five of Wands as a ballet lesson before, but that's interesting.
Hmm.
Regina, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Now, I don't know if that refers to the Five of Wands or the devil. It could be either, I suppose. Justin, I read the devil as dependency or other addictive behaviors, could also be deception. Uh, Regina, stop. Your beard is delightful, but it's time to see the barber. Huh? Oh, me? I don't know who she's talking about.
I don't know.
Uh, Kyle 999, can you do me? Well, we're not doing readings, so
Somebody has taken care of that.
okay. Let's see. Uh,
Justin says lots of people read this card as being naughty. Oh, and Regina said it's the devil talking.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, she's talking about the devil's beard. I thought she meant mine.
Hey, Robin, I'm gonna step away for a second because I have a package and I live in the hood. So I'll be
Sure.
I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourself. Talk about me. Talk about the floozy.
Oh, it's a package. Maybe it's something good. Sexy time, says Kristen. Not sure what she means. I don't think I've ever had a troll on my lives before. I didn't view it that way, though. It just seemed like somebody wanting a reading, but that's okay. Uh, if you were just somebody wanting a reading, apologies. But if you are a troll, then somebody jumped in there and got you. I want to ask, Justin says a troll is a sign of popularity. Well, I never thought I was unpopular until now.
So yeah, a troll. Maybe the devil is a troll.
I wanted to ask you because you mentioned something before about your dog coming in. I don't know if we've ever seen your dog in any of your lives.
We
Is it a
have
big
not.
dog? Huh?
I
You
have
don't
two
want to show
dogs.
it?
No, I'm not going to show them because
Oh,
they're curmudgeons and, the
oh,
overachiever. So maybe
okay.
later. Maybe later. They're not ready. They're not ready for their close up, Robin.
Not ready for prime time. What
Not
are they
ready.
big or little dogs?
They're
What
big.
kind?
They're big.
Oh, too
So
big to hold up to a screen.
very big. Yeah, they're about 65, 70 pounds. So,
Kristen says they are very well behaved, unless she's talking about trolls. I think she's talking about your dogs.
yeah. Hmm.
Jackie said his messages were getting close to the mark. Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Uh, Next card is Judgment. And
Hmm.
my initial thing is this is get up and get out of bed, you sleepyhead. Don't be so lazy. That's not an obvious viewing or reading of this card.
Hang on. Getting judgment.
Got the old bugle alarm clock going.
Boom, 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 boom.
Ooh, I love the color on yours.
Yeah.
It's kind of dark though. It's I mean like a grayish,
I saw that, Jamie.
sort of a
Yeah.
dark day Judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours looks more negative than mine just from the color alone. Mine's a cheery, bright blue sky day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is I think with the judgment card there comes a calling, and it's like, are you going to be, is this that moment where you're called to do something different, or you're called to fulfill your higher purpose? um and when this card shows up, I think discernment, it's important to um make big life choices as it relates to the overall thing, whereas I think justice for me is more daily,
Hmm.
making those daily decisions to get you to your big goal. This is all about the big goal.
Yeah, I always used to get justice and judgment mixed up,
Hmm.
but I agree with you.
So,
But I also look at it as being judgmental. Like maybe you're introspective, maybe you're too hard on yourself,
yeah,
or maybe you're not hard enough on yourself, you know?
that's
Could
very,
be
very
either way.
true. Very true.
Mm.
I think, I also, depending upon where it falls in a reading, it's about, it suggests a need to um really, what is fulfilling you, what is your mission, and how can you achieve that? Because maybe the trumpet is about celebrating you,
Mhm.
in your honest and your naked state, without
Mhm.
all of the strappings of what humans put on things and what society puts on.
Yeah.
So
Uh, Jackie says, looks like pick me, pick me.
yeah, oh, I hadn't thought of that.
And Christian just noticed the other family in the background. Never noticed them before.
Yeah, I never noticed that before either, but there seems to be a bit of a celebration. This doesn't this
Well, I just noticed today all the water. It's like their coffins are like boats floating on the water.
good point. Hmm.
Mm.
Wow. I
Yeah,
don't
this reminds me of an old joke about a man and a flood and God. Do you know that one?
Oh, yes. Go ahead and tell it, though.
There's a guy standing on his roof in a flood and waiting to be rescued. And a boat comes by and he said, come on, we'll save you. No, I'm waiting. Someone will rescue me, or I don't know.
God will take care of me.
God will take care of me. Yeah, right. And then I think a helicopter comes by. No. God will take care of me. And then I can't remember what the third one is, but finally he says to God, why haven't you taken care of me? Why haven't you saved me? He goes, well, what do you want? I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter.
Right. Yeah. Who do you
I
think?
don't tell jokes very well, but that's the gist of it.
Regina needs more coffee. Sip, sip, Regina. Very good. Yeah, I've never noticed that before. Love you too, Jamie.
Next is the Emperor.
Oh.
You're making me want to drag out my dirty Pam to compare the color because your colors are so rich.
Yeah. I think you're waiting for me to go first, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I'm looking for him in the other deck here.
I think the emperor spends his time thinking about the big picture stuff and the boundaries of his kingdom and where how are you going to get your money? How are you going to get how are the relationships with the surrounding kingdoms? Um, you know, and the emperor is the one who puts down the roots and says we're going to stay here and this is what we're going to do. Um, and I think this I think the the emperor just really focuses on, the emperor's like the CEO or the entrepreneur, and things are going to happen his way, the emperor's way. Yeah.
Yeah. My look at it is maybe you're being too rigid. He's
Oh yeah.
firmly grounded on that stone throne, like, and he's not wearing comfortable clothes. He's all decked out in armor. He's stubborn. He's got all those little rams around him. So maybe you're being too stubborn and too immovable, unmalleable. Maybe you don't work too well with other people because you don't see their side of it. You're just too set in your ways.
Yeah, definitely too set in the ways. But when you think about the emperor, they could just be too forceful and
Hmm.
miss an opportunity because in the Robin Wood, something that I really appreciate about the Robin Wood is um there comes a lot of responsibility for this. And if you look at his hand is clenching the throne. He's not relaxed. This is a lot of responsibility. And I think the other thing that I pay attention to with the emperor is the emperor is one who, when you're inside the kingdom walls of an emperor, you're in there. You've got to do something pretty bad in order to get out. But it takes a while for an emperor to trust you. But when they do, they really trust you and you're part of their kingdom, and they want to take care of you.
Well, that's interesting because the mountains in the back look like, there's a firm foundation at his back, those mountains. It's like
Hmm.
a wall of rock. you know.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's also a little stream behind him, between him and, I don't know if I see it in your card. There's a blue stream in mine at the base of the mountains behind his throne.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of in conflict with how firm we have your back.
Jackie says reminds her of Billy Connolly. That may be the Robin Wood,
Oh,
Robin Wood Emperor. But this, I think the Emperor, the thing that, the Emperor, likes to be in control, likes to have that big picture plan. But we also have to understand that there's a lot of responsibility for that. It doesn't necessarily come easy. And I would say the Emperor probably has a few sleepless nights when things aren't going well. And and Justin said, I see the Emperor as pure make energy, aggressive but
male energy.
noble.
Male energy, I think
Male
you mean.
energy, yeah, male energy. But aggressive yet but noble. Um,
Yeah,
I can certainly see that.
yeah.
So very interesting.
I don't always see male energy as noble, but
No, and I have to say, I don't always see the Emperor as a male. I see it
oh,
as in somebody who is, in my mind, when I'm reading, um, it's somebody who is just well connected to that big picture. They're
mhm.
articulate. They will rally the troops. People would do whatever they wanted. The Emperor wanted. So
Well,
it's
this is one of the problem with gender-oriented depictions in cards,
yeah,
because it has more to do with their actions than their gender, you
right,
know.
right.
But yeah, I never considered this from a female point of view.
Hmm.
I think I always default to the Empress for that, because you have that pairing of Empress and Emperor. But why couldn't an Empress have the personality of an Emperor, or vice versa?
Yeah, but I think this. Okay, I'll go off on a little tangent because
Mhm.
the relationship between the Emperor and the Empress is important. Um, but when we think of the Emperor, it's here's the big picture. Here's the frame of where we exist. It's the Empress who controls everything inside of that, inside of that frame. And I don't want to go into it too much because next Tuesday, Kristen Louise Tarot and I are talking about the Empress card.
Yeah,
So, um, but I think there has to be a balance. They're both equally powerful, and we need all of them
they're
because
both in power, but for some reason, I always zoom in on the thrones. Like, his is this stodgy, structured, hard throne, and hers is like this, you know,
right, she's already
back to cushions, and it's so soft, very
right.
relaxed by comparison.
That's true. I hadn't
Let's
really
see.
paid attention to the thrones like that, but yeah, okay,
It's sort of like the throne makes the man or the woman, so to speak.
right.
Next card is strength.
Strength.
And my reaction to this one is, did you forget to feed the cat?
I think I think um strength is about that internal fortitude to achieve goals. It's in, and it literally could mean working with animals. So, um But I see this as the card of perseverance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about, I think, the the strength card implies, with perseverance, figuring out that one thing that's good about a bad situation and being able to make it through because you're holding on to that one thing. Um, and so that way, um, it's it's about bonds. It's about the parent-child bond. Oh my gosh, what are you laughing about?
Kristen, she goes, my thought is, what do you have in your mouth? Give it, give it.
Well, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I also think about this as um the the challenge with the looking at this from perseverance is sometimes you get so caught up in one thing, you may need to step back and look at the big picture again to see if you still need to do that one thing or if the situation has changed.
Mhm.
So, I mean, so
I'm wondering if anybody ever looks at the strength word in this card in terms of whether it relates to the person or the animal.
say more about that.
Well, I think while we always often assume that the strength implied is this woman or man, I think it's a woman, sort of showing strength in her dealings with the lion. But I've also heard people talk about inner strength. And even though I don't know that I equate inner strength with beasts, here the lion is potentially restraining itself from devouring this person.
Mm.
And that restraint takes a certain kind of strength, although I'm not sure one might apply that to the impulses of an animal or not. But if it was another person, you might say, oh, it takes strength to hold back from acting out in a bestial way or, an aggressive manner. Sometimes it takes more strength to not act than to act.
Yeah. And
Oh, which
and
deck is that?
this is the Robin Wood, and when you look at this, there seems to be this supports that idea of there's a relationship between the
Mm,
animal and the human. There, she's actually petting the head and has got her hand on his mouth. So it has it, and she looks happy and the animal doesn't look too hateful, but that could change depending upon the reading. So
they both look like they're smiling to me.
yeah, yeah,
In fact, it almost looks like she's morphing into him or he's morphing into her in a way.
yeah, certainly could be. Hmm.
Uh, Justin said, male qualities are like the sun. They project light. Female energy is like the moon and reflects light. Gender doesn't matter in tarot. Male and female energy, for me, have nothing to do with gender.
I understand that.
Deanne says, same here, Justin. I use those terms just for simplicity's sake. Okay. Justin's been having trouble with his L's and K's on his phone when he's texting. Uh, Next one is the Eight of Cups.
Mm, okay. Eight of Cups. Oh, let me get mine. Hold on. Please hold.
And this one is usually for me like walking away from something that you've had enough of. You can't take any more. You're putting it behind you and walking away. But I might also read it like some people just don't know when to leave the party. They hang around till they're the last one there before they go home. They get the hint, the room is empty, time to go home.
Yeah. This is a card about it's the emotional drain. It's just like, it's walking away from a bad relationship.
Mm.
And because it's a lot of emotions, and eights again are about, they're the double the four, which is the mastery, so they're expanded mastery. So it's about expansion, but sometimes you just have to have that release and walk away.
Yeah, even the expression on the moon's face looks sort of like it's exhausted, and needs a
Yeah.
rest or you know, needs some reprieve from the whole thing.
Yeah. So it's definitely about emotions. Um, and if we look at this from a spiritual standpoint, if the cups are about um, spiritual skills, etc., this is about developing those muscles. And after you've exercised for a while, sometimes your muscles hurt. And
Mhm.
so when you're doing the ethereal work, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just exhausting. So there's an ebb and flow. That
Well,
is,
and in his body language, there seems like a bit of ache in there or a bit of struggle.
yeah,
The way he's leaning on that pole and the way his legs are positioned, it's not an easy walk away. There's some pain there, some
yeah,
discomfort.
yeah. And I think here it is in the Robin Wood,
Hmm.
and I think it's letting stuff go that doesn't work for you, and in this one the cups are all still standing. They're not knocked over like in the five.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, here's what I've had. It's now time to move on.
I think it's interesting in both cards, there's an eclipse. It appears to be there's an eclipse. I'm not sure what to make of that, but
Yeah.
I think it's notable. I,
Jackie, that is absolutely what could be happening in the Robin Wood strength. She could be taking the thorn out
mhm,
of his paw and being thankful for that. So yeah.
mhm.
Mm.
Yeah,
Deanna's like, the thing isn't really to that point of completion, but it's the right time to go regardless. So positive and negative to me fairly simultaneously.
mhm.
Yeah.
And Kristen says emotional exhaustion.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of emotional exhaustion, I've just come to our last card for the day. We've been on for a little over an hour. This is the 10th card. I just randomly pulled 10, so I didn't know how long it would take us to do. Well, here we have the lovers.
The lovers.
And to be facetious about this card, I'd say if you're going on a date, make sure to wear the right clothes.
Of course, and I would say with the lovers is just be who you genuinely are. Don't put on a costume. So
Well, it could be a date at a nudist camp too.
well, that's true. I mean, at least you know what you've got in store for you. No surprises there. So
This is this is the first time I've looked at that angel potentially as the woman's mother, kind of like sizing up her date, who's arrived at the door, like, honey, you ain't going out with him.
or it could be his mother going, "You're not
Yeah,
good enough for my son."
that's true.
So I think lovers. I think about the lovers in the sense of it's about partnerships, it's about balance, and it isn't necessarily a love relationship, but it's about finding the balance. Someone who will work with you, someone who almost completes you. And it's like, okay, people who are the lovers in the Mary K. Greer stuff, they like people to be happy. They like working with people and get enjoyment out of that. That brings them great satisfaction.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and the other thing about someone who may be a lover's card is these people can be players. They can be always looking for that next thing.
Yeah. Jackie asks if that's a volcano in the background, and I don't think it is, but it could be. The clouds of smoke seem to be above it, so I think it's just possibly clouds of confusion or the angels rising out of clouds. They don't
Yeah.
appear to be rising out of that mountain peak, but
Yeah.
I suppose you could read it that way if you wanted to.
Okay. Nudity alert. Nudity
I I
alert.
was going to ask you about the difference between how you see the lovers versus the two of cups, because they seem very similar to me.
Um, uh, they are in the sense that they're twos. Um, or there's a pair or there's a partnership. I think with the two of cups, it hmm well, with it being a majors, I think there is um a larger impact, um bigger secrets about that. I'm thinking about this. Robin has put me on the spot, people. um
Well, I mean, I see both of them as kind of a pairing of lovers. Like the two of cups, I mean, cups are emotions,
uh-huh.
and it's almost, maybe it's more like an early meeting than a soul partnership or something. But now I'm looking at this lover's card, and I don't generally think of this as temptation, but I mean, because of the snake in it, it is apparently there's reference there to the Garden of Eden. And usually I jump right to the devil when it comes to temptation. But in this card, it's got me thinking less about a love relationship and more about the dynamic that's involved between these two potential lovers, like that there may be some seduction or some temptation involved there that I hadn't really considered before.
Yeah,
And
I think with the two of cups, it's about healing. It feels a lot more like healing, and so the two, it would be the beginning of healing and a connection of things that may not have fit together before,
mhm.
or work. It could also be the beginning of a relationship.
I
uh,
think often when I see the Two of Cups, I think of it about not necessarily romantic, but possibly even a business partnership, but a partnership of some kind.
right.
Whereas I hadn't really looked at the lovers in that way before, so I'm not sure. I need to think a lot more about this particular card, the lovers, because I don't think I've arrived at anything there. But again, it may all boil down to the context of the reading.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the Robin Wood. So nudity alert. um you know
Whip
he
off
is,
that fig leaf.
yeah. He's blonde, she is not. And this real, I mean, she is holding the moon, he's holding the sun, and and above there's this light shining. So it really feels that big picture union and
Mhm.
how that balance is important for the lovers. So
That's very different.
yeah, and it's full of, we've got the butterflies, we got fruit, and yeah, it's very different than this.
That's got the sun, the star, and the moon. The
Right.
other one's got the sun, but it's got the sort of the tree of knowledge, the tree of temptation, and tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's um
Jackie says lust, more similar to the devil.
could be. Yeah.
Goodbye, Regina.
Bye, Regina.
Um, okay. So that was the last card, um, and didn't go too badly. But I did want to throw something out there, but I don't know how many are left in the chat at this point. I was telling you earlier that I've been contemplating this idea for creating a new deck,
Yes.
and I've been playing with it because I don't know if you're familiar that I already created these two decks,
Yes.
and the first one is very special in my heart because it was the first, but a lot of people had issues with it, not only because it was black and white and people don't like monochrome decks, a lot of them, but the other was because it was a majors only deck, and a lot of people don't like majors only decks.
Okay.
And they want a full 78 cards. And I've been looking at that and thinking about that, and in dealing with other decks like the Marseille deck, where it seems like the pip cards in a Marseille deck seem like second class citizens. They just don't have the same feeling of importance as the picture cards. They
Uh-huh.
kind of take a back seat for me. And then also you have things like the Lenormand, which is, I think it's 36 cards. And so where majors only 22 sometimes doesn't feel like quite enough cards, 78 almost sometimes feels like too many. And the Lenormand feels like in that middle ground of maybe that sort of Goldilocks area of maybe just right. Or,
Hmm.
like a deck of playing cards, 56 cards, that's a comfortable amount. But
Right.
it comes down to, I think, a tactile sense of what's comfortable to handle and hold and shuffle. And for me, I think sometimes a full deck of 78 seems like too much to deal with. And
Okay.
yet 22 almost doesn't seem like enough. So I was trying to find a middle ground there. Like, how many cards could I add, and in what way could I increase the number from 22 but not make it unwieldy?
Why
And so,
don't you do why don't you do a minors only deck?
uh, hmm, well, that's something to think about. I was going to ask you about the importance of the minors because the majors seem really important to me. The minors seem less so. And in terms of the minors, if I started eliminated cards from the deck, the first things to go for me would be the court cards, because I almost feel like the court cards are subsumed by, I don't know if that's the right word, by other cards. Like, I often feel like the kings and queens could be taken over by the emperor and the empress. They have very similar qualities for me. And then if you go looking at the Marseille number cards, you have 1 through 10, and the ace through 10 are often varying degrees of something. So what I'm thinking about is, what if I just add 3 number cards from each suit, which would bring the majors only up to 34 cards? And the reason I pick 3 is because the ace is the beginning of the number sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a starting place for an action or an activity.
Right.
The 10 is the completion of the activity. So you've got the beginning of a project, the ending of a project. And then a middle card is sort of the middle ground, which is in an in process card. So for
Okay.
me, you have three number cards. You have the majors only and 3 numbered cards. So it would be like a beginning, a process or a progression, and a completion. And I wonder if you were to reduce the 10 cards down to the crux of what they're all about, whether 3 would be enough to communicate that progression.
So would you have a 10, a 5, and an ace of each suit?
Possibly. But I also wondered if instead of having the numbers, maybe it would be 3 courts instead of the numbers. So maybe you'd have a page, which is sort of the initiate. Then you'd have a knight, which is the action. And then you'd have a king or queen, we'll just call it royalty, who is the culmination of the 3. You know, like a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
I'm not sure which route to take, but I'm just wondering. The initial idea had to do with getting to the right number of cards. So, like 34 cards felt like, tactile wise, a comfortable number of cards. But now I'm just kind of trying to figure out, how do I fill out the rest of those cards? 3 for each suit might work, or maybe I create more major arcana cards, but that gets tricky. Like, where
Yeah.
do I pull archetypes from to
Yeah.
add to the majors?
Well, what about, and I'm just brainstorming, um, what about having the ace through 10, having an ace through 10, and then having 4 cards, 1 for each suit?
That's an idea.
And then boil down the court cards to, you have the page, the knight, and the ruler,
Yeah.
because that ruler is, both are equally important, the king and the queen.
It's an interesting idea. The only problem I have with what you suggested about the numbers and the suits separate, I like the idea, but it seems to me like they're dependent on one another. Like you'd have to pull one of each, I think, to get a meaning, maybe.
I don't know,
Um,
because if I were to pull pentacles, just the pentacles, then what
yeah,
that tells me is this person needs to be paying attention to their money and their body and some of the traditions in their path.
yeah,
And that right there is enough. But then you pull an ace, a 2, and an 8.
hmm,
But then the ace, the 2, and the 8 could also relate to the major arcana. How does that? How does the energy of that major arcana translate into the minor?
yeah,
Because I mean, we do that now with tarot,
yeah,
in particular the with the court cards.
yeah.
So
Well, it's definitely something for me to think about. It seems like Chris just popped into the room, but I think we're about to leave. Kristen left, I think. Justin had to go to the doctor. And I think we've lost a couple other people too.
Yeah.
And this seems like a good place to stop, but I want to thank you for joining me and thank you for your insights on that. You've given me more. This is actually a conversation I should have with Chris too, but I don't want to start it over. I'll have it with him at another time, I think.
Yeah. And I
But
think, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's a good conversation to have because it really is an opportunity for us to understand our relationship with the tarot.
yeah.
And, I think that's great. So,
Well, I often boil the cards down to the majors. So it kind of weighs out the importance of the numbers and the quartz,
hmm
and in the RWS, for instance, all those cards seem important because they all depict something. Whereas in the Marseille deck, I would have to talk to a Marseille lover and see how important they feel those number cards are. Because, like I said, when I just see clusters of swords or wands or coins, I just feel sort of deflated, like, "Oh, I got a pip card." It just doesn't have that impact when I don't have the imagery there. And so I don't know.
I think it's a good conversation to have. And it certainly could help your understanding of pip cards too.
Hmm.
So, um,
Well, this might be something that I end up not pursuing, but I am thinking about it. Uh, you know, because for a while I've been procrastinating about designing another deck, and I've been thinking, oh, 78 cards is so overwhelming job to take on, whereas the original 22 wasn't that hard. And when I did my second deck and just added pip cards, that wasn't too bad. But
yeah.
if I'm visually depicting each of the 78 cards, it just seems like a Herculean task to me.
Well, yes, it is, but chunk it down.
Yeah.
I mean, you could think about them. You could think about the four suits as it relates to each number because there's a numerology aspect to it,
Yeah.
and then deepen your numerology appreciation or understanding.
Hmm.
So, but the major arcana are that's the big life secrets. The
Hmm.
minor arcana are the daily things, and I think it's good to have a balance between the two.
I know that's the way that people tend to look at it. For some reason, I don't.
Okay, how do
I
you?
look When I read them, I don't really pay that much attention to whether it's a major life thing or a daily thing. I look more at what's happening in the card visually,
Mhm.
what the action is in the card or the direction, what the symbols are in the card. I know that that's another layer, whether it's major or minor. If you're looking at the suits, what element of the suit is there, what number it is in numerology. Those are all extra layers to the reading. But
Yeah.
again, I think it's a cool idea. I like different non-traditional stuff to go along with my classics. Mm.
And I would also say, thinking about the 22 major arcana, what would you want added to those to help you feel that would fulfill your need?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So,
Actually, I don't want anything added to them other than bulk in the deck. So I guess I'm looking for physical filler, really, because I want something that's easier to shuffle and handle than 22 cards, and something about the size of a Lenormand deck feels about right, or a little more.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, but I'll taunt you back and say, um, maybe there's an opportunity for you to. So what? You'd have to add 14 more cards.
uh, yeah, something along that line. Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
12 to 14. Yeah.
yeah. Well, add something that's not necessarily tarot related. Maybe
Yeah.
add phase of the moon,
Yeah.
the sun, the different seasons.
And I also wanted to kind of keep it to some semblance of tarot. I didn't really want to delve into oracle land, because in oracle decks you can have any number of cards. It's so wide open.
Right. Chris said make the cards thicker,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
yeah, Deanne said you could add significators.
Hmm.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Actually, the White Witch Tarot was the first Majors Only deck that I got that felt like it was a substantial Majors Only deck because the cards are thicker and stiffer. Personally, I don't like thicker cards. I don't like them stiff and heavy. I like them flexible.
Right.
But that is a thought. That's a possibility.
Or could you create different versions of major arcana? Could you have a more feminine um, depiction of the emperor and a more
Hmm,
masculine depiction of the empress?
that's an idea. Hmm.
Jackie asked, "Is this deck just for you, Robin, or do you intend to sell? Maybe you didn't get as many sales as you would like because of pips and not pictorial minors?" Question mark.
No, no, no. I'm not concerned about. I would make it available for anybody that wanted to get it, but my concern is not money making. No. There it crosses over into commerce, and that's kind of
Yeah,
not really my thing.
yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's more of an aesthetic thing and a more of an investigation into what I find workable and important in a deck. So
Hmm.
it's not just the many meanings of the cards and the visual quality, but also the tactile feel of the
Sure.
size of the deck and how easy it is to handle. I'm one of those people that actually like smaller decks. Now, I don't really like the little teeny mini ones, but I love the tarot in a tin size. I like bridge card size, playing card size. I actually prefer that to tarot card and larger.
Right.
Um, I I think you've seen in some of the groups I've been in. I got this deck from Paris de Bono. This is a 78 card tarot deck, but these are playing card size, and they're really nice to handle. But it's as thick as a tarot deck. So it's
Right.
kind of almost too thick for this card size.
Yeah.
I can still shuffle them and I can shuffle them easier because I do overhand. I don't ripple
Right.
than a regular size deck. But I don't know. I'm just being fussy. But
No, well, and Deanne is like, and I love your pip deck. And then Jackie said, then you could make different cards and then use as you find what works best for you. So as you could interchange
mhm.
different suits or different cards to
Well,
see how it works.
another thing, when you said something about the gender, like having duplicates, something in that kind of like, oh, I don't know, because there's all this issue these days about inclusion and gender, dysphoria. And I don't know that I want to divide it up between male and female variants of the same card.
Sure.
But what about the possibility of um, reversals? So
Yeah.
what if I take, say, a dark side and a light side version of a major? That would make a 44 card deck, because you'd have a positive fool and a negative fool, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
idea.
Which is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which is that what are the more positive aspects of each of the cards, and what are the more challenging aspects of the
Hmm.
cards?
Yeah.
That's really
That could
interesting.
be something. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, and you're doing some of that in your other videos.
Hmm.
You're giving that perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it looks like I'm getting a little positive feedback from
hmm
the peanut gallery.
yeah. And Jackie's like, when I also love the deck, but don't do pips a lot. Also loved the first deck, but wanted a full deck, not majors only. Probs, as I'm a beginner still.
Yeah.
ZB said, love that idea. Blue Crescent is like, yes.
I often wonder why people don't like majors only decks. Is it a question of just wanting more? Is it you're not getting enough information from the majors? If it's the major mysteries or the big things in life, why would you need the lesser things in life? You know?
Yeah, because to me, it feel if and I think I have one majors only deck. To me, it's like using a sledgehammer when I'm trying to put attack in.
Hmm.
It's too big. It's just like boom. It's like, whoa, instead of just using the minors to drive home that point.
It's interesting because it doesn't work that way for me. When I look at my cards, like I said, I take a lot into account in each card, and they don't all have to read for me in a big way.
Sure.
Sometimes I'll look at a major card and reduce it to the simplicity of, oh, does it have a smile on its face, or is it looking in a particular direction, or is
Yes.
it holding a symbol that means something to me? It's not the overarching, you know, important meaning in my whole life or my
Right.
whole existence.
Right. No, I completely understand that. That makes sense. But you're not the average reader.
Hmm.
So, and I mean that in a positive way. Um,
Jackie asks how many majors only decks I own, and I would estimate only about 4 or 5. Well, I bet that's more than a lot of people own. A lot of people don't seem to like them. And Chris says it's the little things that count. I agree, little things count, but I can find little things in big cards.
right. Well, and that's something that many readers don't know how to do. They memorize this big meaning and the key
Mhm.
words associated with it instead of paying attention to the image.
Well, and that's another thing. My favorite version of my first deck is the one without labels. Because I thought, oh, they read as images even without the labels. If you put a label on it, that almost imposes another thing on it. So it's like if I have a picture of a guy with a backpack walking off the edge of a cliff, that's one thing. But if I call it the fool, that's another
Yeah.
layer,
Yeah.
another aspect on there. And
Yeah.
I almost don't like imposing that on it. It's like if you take
Yeah.
the labels off, it's the fool, but you don't need to, force that on the image if you don't want to.
Right. You want to remove the limitations that are there from labels.
Yeah. And I think some of your suggestions almost sounded like they want to add more limitations, like the elements, the numbers, the where they are in the court. Those are kind of things that maybe I want
Sure.
to get rid of. But you've given me a lot of food for thought. I really need to think about this some more.
Yeah.
Jackie says you have less options with majors only. Readings might get a bit samey compared to if you had more cards.
It could
I
be.
haven't found that to be the case, but maybe I'm an oddball.
Well, but I also I like that positive aspect and negative aspect, or positive and challenging aspects of the version. So you'd have 44 cards.
You know what else is funny? I almost always do 3-card spreads, but I have on occasion taken my little mini majors only deck. I'll pull 3 and then I keep going, and I will get through an expanded reading using all 22 cards, and it still
Okay.
works. It
Okay.
still reads as a story. It still works.
Right.
And that kind of amazes me that,
Mhm.
oh, you've got a secret message on the bottom of your cup.
Sip, sip. So, and Deanne said, from what I hear, Robin, I think what you want is a light and shadows major deck.
Maybe so.
That that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and it's something I hadn't considered before today. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what is this? Have I seen or used Veronica Jude's Majors on Majors video? No, I'm not. Is that in the name of her channel? Veronica Jude? I'm not familiar with her.
I don't know that one.
Deanne, if her channel has another name, can you tell me in the chat? I'll look for it. I need more than yep.
I think that's the name of her channel.
Yep.
No, Veronica Jude.
Oh, Veronica Jude. Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. And
Thanks,
thank
everybody.
you, Gerald. And
Thank you for inviting.
I should have put it out there before now, since there's almost nobody left in the chat. But anybody that watches this later, I'm sort of liking the idea of doing Wednesday mornings or Wednesday middays for lives. So if anybody out there wants to join me, drop me a note in Facebook or something so I can, invite you, or we can do this together. Because
Cool.
I always find that, in the middle of the week, hump day, there's not that much going on, even towards the evening, but particularly earlier in the day. And it seems like the one day of the week that I'm often craving.
A hit.
Chris just put her link in. Thanks, Chris. I'll check that out.
Look at Chris. Thanks, Chris. Mod extraordinary.
So. Deanne's got a slow work day and she was bored. Yeah, see, it's kind of one of those things. There seemed to be a lot going on early in the week and late in the week and all on the weekend, but Wednesday is not much. So it seems like a good spot for me. And I don't do my Monday nights anymore. So now it's like I'm all over. Whenever I feel like it, I do now. So why not? Right?
Well, let me know.
Yeah.
If you want to have me back, Tarot.
Oh, yeah. Well, if we want to continue this good card, bad card thing, we've got 68 cards left to go.
I think that's fun. So,
I don't know.
hi, Tarot Oculus.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. I can't think of his name. I know him, but I can't think of his name. It's skipping my mind. But hello. All right. We'll let you all go. Thank you for stopping by today.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon. Have fun in your tarot travels. Bye.
Bye.